Hi everyone, my name's Yousaf, Director of BespokeLND, and this is my presentation today. The future of L&D is today. To go to the next slide, I'm going to click Next. To return to the main menu, I'm going to click Main Menu. No. Sorry. So the reason for showing you that was all around my first experience, and I guess my actual first sort of getting into L&D. Back when I used to sell pretty boring, generic, off-the-shelf e-learning content to businesses, private, public, healthcare, anyone and everyone you could think of, but would always lead with the same sorts of words and the same sorts of marketing messages that we were told. It's immersive, it's engaging, it's interactive. Learners and people are actually going to start liking to learn at work. No. Nope. We used to speak about things like the ROI of learning and being able to put a cost and a pound sign against a learning strategy or a piece of learning content or even a trading course. We'd say, no. Don't take all your people off the workforce and off their desks and bring a trainer in. We'll sell you some e-learning that they can do at their own pace. They're going to love it. They'll go home and do it. They'll do it in the lunch times and in the break times. No. Oh. Interactive. Ooh. Immersive. Ooh. That one's cool. Captivate your learners. I bet you're all fired up to do some e-learning now, aren't you? So, Nelson, if you can just launch HowNow and... Now, what I used to do is go in and tell people that actually what you can do, and I shouldn't really be telling you this, is you can fast forward and you can play the audio on your e-learning at 2 or 3 times the speed. So you can skip through the slides, get to the quiz, have a go, and even if you fail, it's going to give you the answers and you'll be able to work it out yourself. Fantastic. You're compliant, you've got a certificate, and you've got a badge. Good job. Now, you're probably all aware of a recent study that Gallup did all around how highly engaged workforces can be the difference between high-performing businesses and their competitors. And engagement's so much more than just a buzzword. I mean, I know we see it on LinkedIn, we see it on websites, we see it when we go to Learning Tech, and I'm sure lots of people will have heard and seen all about engagement at World of Learning conference today. In actual fact, my belief is that engagement starts with how people see L&D. How is the brand of L&D in your business seen? What do people associate with learning and development? Is it e-learning? Is it classroom-based training? Is it GDPR? Or is it enablement? Is it that my L&D department is going to help me be better at my job? It's going to help me grow in my business, and it's going to help me acquire the new skills and the new aspects of my role that I want and learn. So everything I do and everything that I believe should be the first and foremost focus of the future of L&D. I mean, there's always such a big emphasis on what's next. What's the next new learning platform? What's the next new piece of learning or digital content? Who's the next big thought leader in the business that we're going to follow? What's the biggest theory or the most popular theory around at the moment to prove that learning has happened? But before all that, we've got to solve the disconnect between learning and development as a department and the people and the business that we serve. The people in the business should know what learning and development is there for. They should know why we're here. And the business should know that L&D has actually got our back. They're going to help us obtain the goals and obtain the things that we want to achieve. And they're going to do that through giving us the best workforce we've ever had. So when I walk into a business for the first time, I always ask this question: what are the key pillars of your L&D strategy? Now, some of you might be thinking, what's a pillar? I didn't see that in my CIPD course. But it's all around, what does L&D stand for? Why are you here? What are you trying to serve? How are we measuring the success that we're having in the business that we're having? How can we measure the success that our employees and our learners are actually gaining something from us and we're not just distracting them or giving them some amazing e-learning to go through? And it's quite easy to do. Number one, know your audience. So in the early days of BespokeLND, I used to go into businesses that either were very early on their learning and development journey or they didn't have a dedicated learning and development resource. It was maybe a couple of people in HR, and that was about it. They'd buy in some e-learning, they'd pay for trainers to come in, or they'd send people away. But for those businesses, the most valuable tool they had wasn't me, wasn't what e-learning they could buy or what trainer they could afford to bring in. It was their colleagues over in marketing. HR understand the legal side of things. HR understand what needs to be done, how we're going to be compliant as a business, how we need to tick the boxes that we need to tick. But marketing know all about audience, they know all about engagement, they know about content creation, they know about promotion, they know about running campaigns so that a business's sales can increase. They know how to engage people in that funnel. How many of you here confidently, if you could put your hands up, could tell me, if I asked you, could you tell me what the day in the life of looks like for any one of your employees in the business you work in? Oh, we've got one there. Maybe at the back. I'm looking at you. Yeah. That's. I was being cheeky. That's what I was trying to get. Sorry. Number 2, ultimately, as a learning and development department, and as a function that's not there to just react, but actually enable the business and enable the employees in the business, we need to understand what they do on a day-to-day. We need to understand the difference between someone in a sales department and a marketing department. I mean, people even know what HR do, but how many people know what L&D do? I don't think. So only once we understand our audience from a day-to-day, really granular perspective, what processes are they going through, what systems are they using, what does their before lunchtime look like as opposed to their after lunchtime, how much time have they got in the office, how much time have they actually got to not just do physically, email and process work, but think about things and, adapt and have meetings and those kind of things. Only once we can answer those questions can we help them acquire the skills they need to be the best they can. Learning and development, performance, training, in my eyes, should be a very practical and applicable thing. People should be able to understand what skills are needed for the tasks that they need to complete on a day-to-day basis to excel in the role that they've got. And as much as that goes, how can I get to the next level? Is it management? Is it moving laterally? Or is it even exiting the company? Companies and L&D departments in the main need to have game plans and frameworks for success. Now what that means is there's a handful of occasions in an employee or in someone's life, in their work life should I say, that L&D have got the perfect opportunity to set them up for success. Inducting new employees, for example. Should it just be a HR process, which then gets handed on to a manager to say, there you go, there's your new person? People being promoted from within as new managers. A lot of managers and a lot of people that I speak to that promote from within usually appoint someone as a manager or promote someone from within as a manager because they're technically the most capable. They've been the best in their team. They might have brought in the most sales, they might have had the most, KPIs met against them, things like that. But how many of those people actually get re-inducted into the business as a manager? We understand you've got all these amazing skills, but that was at this level. Now you step in that upper block. We don't want you to lose that, but we want you to gain this. And a comms and content strategy. So a big part around the future of L&D needs to be learning and development departments, not just being trainers or facilitators, but actually being communication and content strategists, experts, and be it that's bringing in people from marketing, be it that's going out and learning and acquiring these new skills, or just bringing in a whole new approach. If we get to the point where we think, right, okay, we need to develop a resource, we need to develop a piece of e-learning, we need to facilitate some learning or some knowledge acquisition, we should have a direct, a real tangible strategy around that. We shouldn't be thinking about learning interventions. I mean, I hate that word. Do you know what happens if you Google learning intervention? Looks more like a therapy session for someone that's been through a piece of e-learning. What we need to think about is learning campaigns. A campaign of learning is essentially just an actionable flow or an actionable process or framework or game plan, whatever you want to call it, where we can measure the success of something all the way across, and we can put ownership against each point as well. Awareness. How are we making people aware that a new piece of learning or knowledge acquisition is required? How have we been made aware that, okay, we need to develop a piece of learning or we need to facilitate someone's success here? Engagement. Again, one of those buzzwords that's all around there. But how are we actually engaging people so that they want to engage with us? How many times do employees come to L&D and say, I need to do this. I'd love for you to help me acquire this. I'd love for you to help me get there. Enablement. Through awareness and through engagement, once someone's gone through this piece of learning or this transition to a new process, how are we actually enabling them so that they can actually be successful in what they're doing? We might not have all the answers, and I don't think L&D need to have all the answers, but L&D need to be able to enable people to acquire the skills, to acquire the knowledge, to do what they need to be able to do. Make it applicable. Every piece of learning content, resource, process, whatever it is, needs to be applicable. How are you going to take what you've learned today back to your desk or back to your role? That should be a must question for everyone. And advocate. Someone else spoke about, I think, learning champions or digital champions. And that's something that I've always advocated for in the businesses that I've been in. That you need to appoint people at a ground level or at a floor level that are actually going to advocate for you and advocate for learning and development, not only just as a department, but for what we stand for. You need to have champions from within and champions from throughout that are going to shift that message upwards as well as it coming down. How are you going to take what you've learned back to your desk? Such a key question. And just asking that, I mean, it's a lot of face-to-face trainers give out smiley face sheets. I don't know what they're actually called, but they've just got smiley faces on them. I mean, how from a smiley face can you tell someone's going to apply what they've learned today and it's been valuable to them? Okay, they might have had a good time, they might have had a good chat. You guys have clearly had a laugh today, hopefully. But have you actually learned anything today? Does it mean anything if you've learned anything today? 2 resources I think everyone in HR and L&D need, and I'll leave this up for a while so you can take note. But one's Bianca Bauman's Little Black Book of Marketing and L&D. And the other is Mike Taylor, A Few Things L&D Should Steal from Marketing. Now, forget those, I'll put my LinkedIn post up next. I'm joking. We good? Are you ticking a box or are you creating a measurable, memorable event? Do we want people to see L&D as just something we have to do, something that happens to us? Or do we see it as something to get excited about? Can people be involved in learning and development? Can people be involved in building and developing new learning schemes? Can we have happy minions saying welcome to the team? Thank you